Mate, what is with all these NRL fantasy podcasts? They all sound the fucking same. Welcome to the echo chamber.
Good evening and welcome to episode 7 of the Echo Chamber. Joining me tonight is the ginger from down south, Rudley. How you doing, mate?
Oh, living the fucking dream, mate.
And once again, the regular Jay-Z. How was your week, bud?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Good to have a bunch of games of footy on the weekend. It's been too long.
Yeah, we got to see some almost relevant teams. Maybe not. Cowboys game was disgusting. We're not talking about that tonight. One thing we will talk about is team lists for this week because we are getting closer to the start of the season. This is their last head out to see some of the younger fellas or some of the fringe players and see how they perform. So we'll quickly run through any relevant shit that is in these team lists that released. I'm not going 1 to 13 because I can't say their fucking names. We'll start with a baby Panthers versus the Manly team. Is there anything in there that's jumping out at anybody with that? Not really for me. What about you, Jay-Z?
The only thing of any real interest, I think, is maybe, and this is like a wild pod if you were to do it, is Jazz Tavanga at 9. Like he traditionally, if he gets minutes, he scores pretty well, and looks like he's won the starting hooker spot for whatever reason. So I mean, it is a wild pick, and I probably won't be doing it myself, but it's probably the only interesting thing in this Manly team list.
Yeah, so Lachlan Croker's out to round 4 with his knee, so Jazz has probably definitely got that starting 60-odd minutes for them first 4 rounds, definitely, with Jake Simpson probably being on the bench there. Really got anything to add about this, mate?
3 games, not going to make enough money. Stay away.
Yeah, so potentially 4 or 5 with he's not doing any well, but yeah, he's not going to be a 90-minute hooker, right? So he's not going to make that amazing amount of cash. Stay away. Moving on to the next team list, which will be the Tigers versus the Eels, 8 p.m. Leichhardt Oval. Be a good crowd down there, be good atmosphere. I think that's going to be a pretty good game. Both sides have put out pretty tough first graders in this game. Interestingly, AD at 7. What do you reckon about this, really?
Yeah, I think it's probably like a kind of mixed signal for Stafford Toa. He could he could show that he's got that centre spots, and Dewey's kind of just a backup 7 or a backup fill-in for whatever the hell happens in the team. I guess wait and see for round 1 to see if Stafford Toa does get that spot, because fuck me, I would love another 250k centre.
Yeah, we've got a few of them around. Jay-Z, Jack Bird being named on the bench is not filling me full of enjoyment right now.
No, and it comes as a bit of a surprise. I mean, all the chat pre-season was that Bird would be spending time at lock. I guess like we all sort of assumed that would be in the starting side. So to see him on the bench, to me, it suggests that he's not just going to play middle. Like he could spend some time on an edge as well. You know, he's quite a versatile player, maybe backup centre if one of the starting blokes go down. It makes sense to start him off the bench, I guess, but certainly diminishes his fantasy value.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at their injuries, what they got. The only person out is Olam for 1 round, so even at that point, we're expecting Olam to come back in round 2. So one of them centres is losing their spot, whether it's Naden or Toa if he starts there.
Surely it's Naden. I don't think anyone has high regard for Naden.
Obviously, you didn't watch the All-Stars game because he was...
he had one good game, one good moment.
Best player on the pitch by a mile, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah, but he has that. He has one game every fucking few years where he becomes the next Nathan Cleary, but in the centre position. And then the next fucking game after that, the team's playing like they've got a man down.
Yeah, bro. It's fine. He's got 2 -3s coming in a row.
He does do that a lot. I think he even played halfback at some point in New South Wales Cup last year. Like, there's a world where he starts, I suppose, but I still think Duey will be the centre in round 1. I know he's named at 7 in this trial, but I think this is very much an experimental Tigers team. There's some positions that aren't defined yet. Like they're sort of seeing who might be the best backup players, or who's going to start in the centers. I think we assume Olam's going to start, but maybe he's still struggling with that knee injury he had all last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're just trying guys, and I mean that's the point of a trial game, right? Give guys a run and see how they go. They've named a fair few first graders, but I doubt the ones that are locked in are going to play too many minutes in this trial.
Yeah, I mean,
Except for Alex Eisenhuth.
they've only named 21, right? And Seyfarth's playing 80, and he's going to score 140 fantasy points in the trial. That's just given. But they have only named 21 players, so it's not going to be the full massive rotation that we've seen last week with players, because they've only got 7 on the bench. So be interesting to see how that goes.
I've heard that Benji fulfilled Alex's make-a-wish and named him captain for this week as well. So really, really nice of him to do that for the young fella.
Fucking extended his contract too. Like he's
I know.
fucking must have nudes.
I don't understand Alex Seyfarth hate, mate.
Yeah.
Man's going to be the top fucking edge scorer this year above David
there's
DeVito.
not a chance that happens. I do think he's got some value, but Jesus, that's just pushing it. The Eels team, there's a big trap in the Eels team that's named this week, and will probably be named week 1 team, and that's Jake Tago for me. He's got 2 or 3 rounds, I think 3 rounds, with Adokar being out with suspension, and 1 week with Simonson out with a knee injury. Either of them come in to take his spot, in my opinion.
And the big issue is Eels are going to play Melbourne Storm round 1, the round that Storm famously don't lose in Melbourne. Poor Tago's going to get absolutely found out, and he's going to put up a stink of a score and not make any money in that short time.
So
and I think everyone's probably a bit scarred from last season. I didn't grab him personally, but from the people that did, he was atrocious.
he wasn't good.
Just not a good fantasy scorer.
I
Yeah.
don't think Eel wingers have ever been good fantasy scorers, have they?
In
Radraja was pretty good.
Sivo was good in like Spates, like a couple of weeks. He'd score some tries, get a lot of tackle breaks, but he was never a keeper or anything like that. Just what do you think about Jack Williams? Really, you reckon he's nailed that 8 spot? He's gone there to start.
I must say that surprised me that he was named at 8, because everything I was hearing was that he was going to be playing a lock either as a starting or off the bench, and that was my understanding, is that he'd gone from the Sharks to the Eels to play lock. So I'm not sure if this is just due to the fact that Paulo's out at the moment, or if he actually has got the 8 spot locked down. He's a good player. He's got a few errors in him, but I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Yeah,
he's an interesting signing for them. I don't know. Like we sort of touched on it in previous podcasts, like Parramatta's pack has a lot of minute-hungry forwards, like Junior Paulo when he comes back. Offa Hengawi hasn't been named in this team either. Like, I don't know if they're experimenting or if they're just getting minutes into these guys' legs. It's probably worth noting that Jack Williams was added to Parramatta's leadership team, so whether that means he'll start is a different story, but I mean, I don't think the minutes will be there for him to score at any decent wicket.
He's priced at 38. He'd need significant minutes to get those 10 points of value. I just don't think it's worth it.
I honestly think we need to watch him though. I think there is definite way that they may be transitioning. New coach, right? Riles is there. We don't actually know what's going to happen with them old fellas that were, a minute hungry last year. They might be just shadow realmed. So we just got to watch it and just be prepared to pivot if Jack does end up getting a big role, because they obviously like the guy.
Yeah, but it's not like we haven't seen Jack Williams in first grade, right? He's been around for a while. And Cronulla's pack are quite similar to Parramatta's, where they have a lot of guys that can play 40 to 50 minutes, and I think he'll be in that sort of realm.
Yeah. If he gets, like obviously small sample size last year, but when he did play them big minutes, the 60-odd minutes, he averaged 50. So I'm just watching him for now. There's nothing else that really jumps out at me apart from Jake being a... Go, mate.
On that topic, just while we're talking about forwards and the big minutes, what are you guys' thoughts on Hopgood at the moment? I'm getting a bit concerned. Like, I think a lot of people put him in their team, and I still, as with Jack Williams, I just don't see the minutes are there to be shared amongst this forward pack.
Yeah, I fully agree. Like I just saw a post today actually on Junior Paulo. He's stripped down 10 kilos in the off season, which is pretty impressive. Like he's a big bloke and he already played pretty big minutes. So I mean, I don't think he's stripping weight to play less minutes. So I think you'll still see 50 minutes from him in the starting squad. Hopgood, man, he's obviously got the value if he gets 60 plus. I don't know if he'll get that with the side that they have, but the dual position is just so tempting. Like having him in your edge would solve a lot of problems for my team anyway.
Yeah.
Especially with Madison on the bench. That's the one that really concerns me.
Well, Madison was on the bench last year too, most of it. Like, and he still got, 60 odd minutes last year. So I don't know how their forward rotation is going to work. I'm just going to wait and see. I'm not touching any. I'm not even touching Klemmer. I know there's a lot of people really high on Klemmer, and this team sheet looks decent for him. But I'm not touching Klemmer until I know what Riles is going to do with his forwards. That's just me.
Yeah, and if he follows like the Bellamy sort of methodology.
Yeah,
Sorry,
methodology.
I cooked that. But if he follows that sort of mantra, then none of the forwards are going to be good enough to own, in my
Yep.
opinion,
Yeah, they
because
just kill each
they
other.
all sort of shared like the role. Like even Josh King started the season playing big minutes 2 years ago, but then petered back down, and there's too many similar guys in the pack, I think, to touch anyone there.
Yep. Any last words on that, Ridley?
No.
No. All right. So we're going to move on to game 3. No, hang on. Wasn't there 2 games? Oh, yeah, sorry. So both games on Friday at Leichhardt. So the first game, Manly Panthers, is at Leichhardt at 6 p.m. So on Saturday, game 3, we're out at Glen Willow in Mudgee, and we got the Challenge Cup. Is that what it's called?
Charity Shield.
Charity Shield, that's what it's called. Against the Dragons versus the hapless bunnies who just cannot catch a fucking break. Injury. They should just probably change casualty ward in the NRL to just South Ward because they fill the fucking thing up.
Oh man, terrible news today.
Yeah.
Terrible news.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. But I just first want to just have a quick chat about the fact that Dragons team looks full strength, 100%. That is what they will line up with round 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not Hamish Stewart on the bench. Maybe they'll find like Hame in the side or something, but I think it's pretty close. I can't think of anyone being out. Matt Eisenhuth, I think, isn't available by the
Let me
looks of things.
check. Yeah. I'll just check them.
But yeah, most of these players are going to be there come round 1.
So they got a few out. Blake Laurie, hand. They don't know when he's going to be back. He's TPC. Sloan is obviously back because he's named on the bench. No other real forwards to be named. So don't actually know. I'm 100% wheels up on Toby Couchman, named at that 8 spot. So he's in my team.
I think he's very good, but there's just so much uncertainty around the minutes he's going to play, and we're not going to know those minutes until round 1. And if you miss him in round 1, like maybe you can jump on him in round 2 if you've got like an injury or a failing mid-ranger. But for me, it's a bit too risky, especially with, I guess, the abundance of mid-rangers that have popped up over the last week. So I'm going to avoid him for now, but if he gets the role, he's brilliant.
Yeah, his underlying stats, his base is huge. So I'm gonna take the punt on the Couchman. He fills that dual role we were talking about for Hopgood. DPP's really, really big. So I'm gonna roll the dice on him. Ridley, what are you taking? Some couch, man?
Well, I'm kind of on the fence. Like, as you already said, like mid's fucking stacked with mid ranges at the moment. So the only real reason to get him is if you're struggling to be convinced on some of the options at edge.
Well, that's where
And
I
I
got
think
him.
that's where I am at the moment.
Yeah, that's where I got
If
him.
Hosking is named and I just don't trust Nicholson, I think I might drop Hosking down to Couchman.
Yeah.
That's where I'm kind of leading. I think there's worse options to go than Couchman. So I wouldn't say everyone should be avoiding him. I think there's a good argument for him and a good argument against.
Yeah. Emre Gula named at prop again. Brought him to the club as a big bopper up the middle. I'm kind of worried he's only going to be 20 minutes and then off he comes. And that's it. We don't see him again for the rest of the game. So I'm not going to recommend Emery. I think he's cheap enough you can watch. I think I just looked at his price and he's somewhere around 380 priced at that 30 mark. So I think he's too expensive to recommend as a buy, but definitely someone you can watch if he does pick up decent minutes. I mean, that 28 last year was in 36 minutes too. So he's not exactly a big PPM guy.
No, and he's not a fantastic footballer. Like, I think he'll fill the sort of battering ram role, sort of cop the early blows and control the game, and then, maybe not come back on or come back on for a very short stint. I don't think he'll be playing big minutes.
Probably filling that Hame Saleh role from last year, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
And he averaged 40 minutes last year, interesting enough. But yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very similar scores though, around that 30 mark. So probably just them two will just share the spot for the rest of the year. Now we'll start talking about the Rabbits, and terrible news there today. A lot of injuries been reported. It's really sad. Cameron Murray, Achilles, gone for the very long time, I assume. Campbell Graham's obviously still out, broken hand. Alex Johnson out, Achilles. Ewan Aiken, pec muscle. Don't know when he's going to be back. Mitchell, hamstring, couple weeks. Probably should be back towards the start of the year. Jai Arrow, hoping for him to be back round one, but heard rumours that his recovery's taken a little bit longer than they want. Havili, round one with a head knock. Tavita Tavola, holy shit, can I talk? Tavita Tatola, he's back round two. And then Cody Walker, calf, due back round one. That's a lot of money on the sideline, fellas.
It's basically like a whole starting roster, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's pretty tragic. I mean, I'll jump the gun a bit here. How does Kalaamatangi not play 80 minutes every week? Like, surely he plays lock in this side now, right?
Well,
or is there just no other second row?
Well, let's look at who they've actually got in their top 30 and sort of dig down into this a little bit, I think. Well, you have a chat there. I'll bring up the top 30, Ridley. Go.
Oh, I don't think this could have happened to a nicer team. On Keon, I think he's an excellent player and he played really good at lock last year. And I think everyone should be interested if he is named 13. The only thing I'm concerned about with that is that the photos I've seen of Keon this year is that he is much thinner and leaner than he was last year. I think there might be some questions about whether he is big enough to actually play in the middle compared to on that edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I struggle to follow those sort of narratives because they tend to lean down in the preseason, and as the season gets closer, put on a bit more. And like their training weight's not necessarily what their playing weight's going to be. And he's a big fella. I don't think he's going to have dropped that much weight. And plus, if Murray's out for the whole season, putting someone like Tallis Duncan or even Hubner, who's named there this week, at lock, I can't see that being a long-term solution, especially the job he did last season. Like, he was phenomenal through the middle, and you don't get that involvement from him on the edge. So it would be really interesting to see if Bennett actually had any influence in terms of moving Kalaamatangi to the middle while after what was his name? The old coach got sacked, Demetrio.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we see him at lock, I don't know if he'll play 80 minutes week in, week out, but man, he was so good.
So just one thing to think is Havili is back pretty soon, and he can play that lock role. You know, he does play a fair bit of that distribution from dummy half, right? So with Havili coming back, there is a possibility Keogh goes into 13 round one, and then with Havili back round 2, 3, he's only there for a couple of weeks, and then he's back on the edge. So that is definitely something there. As far as what other locks there are, whatever edges there are, you're looking at the mighty host as someone that can come in on that edge. So bottom of the abortion barrel, you know what I mean? Like, there's no one else.
Please do not talk absolute slander about the second best edge in the game behind Safepath.
My Jacob Host is a terrible fantasy scorer. That's all
I'll say I'm glad that you're putting him in the same bucket as Safepath. So we agree on one thing.
I think this can be quite simply explained, though, to be honest. Whoever the fuck is named at 13 is almost certainly a buy. Whether
Yeah.
it's Savili, whether it's Hubner, whether it's Duncan, or to be honest, I think we can all hope it's Colin Matangi.
Yeah.
Any one of them is going to make a lot of money. Keon's probably hasn't got the full 10 points of value, but he'll be a keeper in that position. And he'll
Yeah.
be underpriced by about 6 or 7 points.
So traditionally, Havili hasn't started. He's only played there 4 times. He did play there twice last year for 40 minutes, and he averaged 35.
And he's priced at 25.
Yeah,
so
so he's
lock him in.
once again he's a buy. Tallis Duncan being named there, I would be a little bit dubious about though.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
He's a bit expensive. He's a bit expensive. He's at 35. When he's played there before, he played 45 minutes and he got a 30. So it's only one game. It's a very small sample size. Don't jump all over me, but he's the only one.
They're just going to get belted every week, though, right? Yeah. Like, you just listed all their players that were out. Like, there was at least some hope. If Latrell and Murray were playing, the team is like 6 to 10 positions better on the ladder. With them two out, they are genuinely the worst team in the competition. Like, I don't see them doing anything with either of them out. So they're going to be praying that Latrell's not a long-term injury and that Murray somehow has avoided tearing his Achilles, because without them, they're hopeless. Like, they're completely gone.
But that just means more tackles for whoever's named Lock.
Oh, mate.
It's all upside, mate.
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. That's why Klamatangi did so well last year. He made 50 tackles and he was the only one who wanted to take a hit up. So he was doing everything.
Yeah.
Just on Duncan at a 0.828 ppm in interchange in over 40 minutes last year. At that ppm, he needs approximately 54 minutes to have 10 points of value.
Yeah, and that's scary.
Named starting lock, he'll probably get 50 to 60 minutes. Because realistically, if Havili's named to come on as cover lock, which is the more likely option, because he's also going to be there to cover hooker, he's not going to take that many minutes off Duncan. I don't see.
Well, I don't think you'll see Havili playing too much hooker this year.
I don't think Matsu.
Because
how you pronounce his name is going to be playing.
No, Man won't play 50, but they will play the other young fella, Jamie Humphries, as 14 to cover halves and hooker. So I don't think Havili's going to come in there and play that hooker role like he used to. I think he's going to come in, play through the middle, be a bit of a ball playing prop lock sort of dude, distribution from there.
Still see Duncan getting 55 to 60 minutes each week if he's named a lock.
Let's break down the pack, right? Like, Sean Kepi's not playing more than 50 minutes. Moali's not playing more than 50 minutes. Hubner, man, who is Lachlan Hubner? He played a game for the Dolphins last year, right? Like, there's no way he's playing big minutes. If Duncan, whoever's named at lock, is going to be playing monster minutes. If it's Duncan, like, hallelujah, like, fantastic. If it's Klamatangi, yeah, again, amazing. Who even are the other players in their forward pack? Like, Jai Arrow could play big minutes, but I suspect he'll come back on an edge. Like, you just have to buy whoever South Lock is, in my opinion.
Because even they have Schuster in the team, and I was reading an article today that he has pissed off the super coach.
Oh, he's gone. So, from what I've heard, he's gone. He hasn't been training well. He's well off the pace. He won't be anywhere near the side.
Yeah, let's wait and see. We'll see how they get. We'll see how the Dragons put 50 on them this week, and we'll cry ourselves to sleep, and we'll cook. South fans will cry themselves to sleep. Ridley will be partying in the fucking street. We'll get off the South game. We're gonna head over now to KO Stadium in Redcliffe, watching the Broncos play the Bulldogs. Looks like a pretty strong Bulldogs team. In fact, you probably say that's first string, right down to 17, which hurts me a lot because the guy I've been stroking all fucking preseason's not even named in the 25. And it sort of hurts me a lot, but as I said, Broncos, Jack Goey's in the fucking 11 Guernsey. What are we doing, fellas?
It's horrible, isn't it? I look at the 3 guys that Madge has picked as like his sort of specialty picks, right? Maguire wants his team to have a hard edge, but they all suck at football except for maybe Hetherington. Like Shibasaki, Gajewski, Hetherington. Like, man, these guys aren't very good. Hetherington's serviceable. The other two are just very, very average footballers, and that's putting it lightly. Like, it will not take long. Like, if Dean Mariner isn't in the team in round 1 in the first place, which, mind you, he absolutely should be. Shibasaki is not their long-term center. There is absolutely zero chance of that happening.
So I watched a little bit of Shib when he was at the Cowboys 2023. I think he was part of our Q Cup side, and he's a big body, very powerful. Couldn't really catch a ball.
Well, luckily he doesn't need to do that at all in each game.
Yeah.
So he played like a fair bit of center there, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure we signed him because we had his half brother or his brother or something. We just wanted to keep him happy. But didn't cut it in our Q Cup team, and now he's starting for the Broncos. So read into that what you will. We also let Jack Goey go as well mid-season last year. I'm just saying they're filling their team full of our rejects. Now becoming Cowboys' second team at the Broncos. Who knows?
Corey Jensen, ex-Cowboy as well.
Yeah, and look, last year I had a terrible take. I thought Corey Jensen was just going to absolutely tank it and shit it up, and he absolutely killed it and ended up making 200k. And I had some pretty severe egg on my face because I hate the bloke. He drops the pill more than most doctors, mate. So he's terrible. They've named Adam Reynolds. We thinking a 15-minute sort of hit out and then wrap him in cotton wool? Or... Hey?
15 minutes and then injured?
Well, that or they just wrap him in cotton wool, right? We'll just see how he's kicking. This will be a good test to see how much kicking Adam and Ben do. So I'm a bit interested in that, but there's no one really relevant. Payne Haas is back, which is good.
I'm actually on the self-harm train, and probably will be starting with Jack Gozzi.
Oh, you can't do it, man. Like, you can't, bro.
He's absolutely useless. But the thing is, he is so cheap.
But you can't
buy him, plop him in your EMG in your emergencies, and let him slowly make the money. He's not going to be next to Mab, who was a big reason in my opinion, for why Piakura was so crap last year in defense and got so many missed tackles. I think he's going to average about 30 in about 80 minutes. I don't
think he'll play 80 though. Surely Piakura's going to be on the bench for that team.
If Piakura's on the bench, then they're both lost causes. But I don't think they'll name Piakura as well. Surely not.
I thought surely they will. They have to have some sort of backup on the bench, right?
You cannot trust this, like the bench that they've put out in this team. Like their starting 13 looks like pretty much first string, but they're not going to go out with Jock Madden named in the 17 jersey, right? Not. So you look through that who the bench forwards are going to be. They're going to have someone to spell Corey Pakes, so Billy Walters, right? Or Tyson Smoothie, depends on how they want to go. They're going to have Corey Jensen.
They'll have
Marty
They'll have Willison. Willison will absolutely be there. I think they'll run a back row. I think Piakura or Jaden Hunt will be on that bench. Almost certain it'll be Piakura, but maybe Jaden Hunt gets a run.
Hey, think of the fucking 2-punch fucking maneuver that is Jack Gozzi and then Piakura coming up to finish the job. Fuck, that puts fear in most teams' eyes.
Oh,
all they need is Alex Seyfarth and Jacob Host, and my God, they'll be unstoppable. What a team.
So
again, of course I'm saying this, with respect of what the round 1 TLT will look like. But at the moment, if Jack Gozzi gets to that spot for 80 minutes, you just buy him and slow him in your emergencies. You hate it, but he's going to make money.
I don't think I could do it. I don't think I can do it.
Are you going to start? Are you starting with Corey?
Corey Pakes? No, he's probably at too awkward of a price, and the hookers will probably split minutes evenly, I reckon. I think the interesting one in the pack's probably Hetherington. Named at lock. Looks like they're going to move Paddy to the front row this season. Does he get enough minutes to be a viable fantasy pick?
How much does he need? I don't think so. I think he needs a lot. I think his PPM is shithouse.
He could play 80 minutes and still only score 30.
Yeah, that's rare for a middle forward as well. It's rarefied.
But I must say, going through their team right now, I have Broncos in my top 4 at the moment, and going through their team, I'm actually getting more and more questionable about what their prospects look like this year. Fucking Hetherington, Gozzy, just don't scream premiership threat to me.
So last
No.
year in his big minute games, he played 61 minutes when filtered over 50, and he averaged 40. So he will need around 60 odd minutes to make you 10 points. Is Kobe going to
Yeah.
play 60 minutes a game? And one of their games was an 80-minute effort, and he got a 42.
It's not. It doesn't fill you with confidence, does it?
So 40 tackles, 80 meters gained, and 3 missed tackles. That's all he did for the entire game. I don't know. Like, I think there's way better options than Kobe out
But he's
there.
so cheap.
He's not though, man. He's at an awkward price. He's 400k.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap though for a starting lock. Like it's almost the same argument as a Tallis Duncan. The only difference is that you have Haas and Carrigan that are going to play big minutes. But I imagine Carrigan probably plays slightly less minutes than the bloody 85 he was playing last season because everyone else was out.
I'll just say 60k, and you're at the god that's Alex Seyfarth. So look, go find the 60k, plug Seyfarth into your team, and you'll be happier.
Then captain him.
Yeah, and then put a C on him. Anything else about? It'd be good to see Payne Haas play pain free out there. I'm interested to see that. That way, the people who are going to start with him, I'm starting with Yo, but people who will start with Payne, be good for them to watch him play 20 odd minutes and play pain free. So that'll be good for them.
Yeah, I've
Are you
got
on
Payne.
Haas?
Yeah.
I've got Payne. I think it's a good sign that he's named in the trial game.
I agree.
Means that he's probably not going to come into the season underdone. Same with Munster, who I'm sure we'll get to at some point. But it's a good sign that these guys coming off long-term injuries are both named before round 1 kicks off. So they'll get some yards into their legs.
Bulldogs. Big thing is Noah Monet. Probably everyone called it. I was the only true believer. He's not there, so scrap him from the team if you've got him. He probably will play at some point, so just eyes out for that. I don't think there's anyone else relevant that is in this team, so...
it's just such a boring team list, isn't it? Like, it's such a small bench as well, and that's probably what they are going to run out in round 1.
Yeah.
Like, this is basically their full strength side. I don't know that anyone's missing.
No.
And this team is just boring as hell. I think the Dogs will struggle this year, personally. Oh, Kiraz is out.
Kiraz is out, but he could be out indefinitely. And that just means Marcel or Wilson and Montoya are your wingers. And there's no value in either of them. So
Agreed.
Moving on to the second game at KO in Redcliffe, the Dolphins and the Titans. So we'll get to the tits and the disappointment that is that shit show. The Dolphins have named Max Plath an edge. Is he really going to play on edge? What do you reckon, Jay-Z?
Oh, I think this team list is a massive bait. I don't think they'll run out like this, like the way they've been named. I mean, all the chat in the preseason is that Bostock's playing center and Avarillo's going to have a run at 6. And I think they're very much still deciding who they want to have. Gilbert and Plath, I think Gilbert will end up playing on the edge. Plath showed last season just how good he is as that sort of ball distributing, turret in the middle of the field almost. Like, tackles everything that moves. It's hard to see him not playing 13. I think he may have spent a bit of time on the edge for the Finns, and he wasn't anywhere near as effective. So unless Christian Wolf is a maniac, I expect to see him playing 13 rather than edge.
Yeah. So I went and watched the Dolphins in Darwin last year when Max Plath absolutely ripped it up. Right? And he was playing that 13 role. I think they need to put him there, and I'd much rather see Gilbert on the edge in defense, and then come in to like a middle area in attack. Oh, sorry, the other way around. On the edge in attack, and then come into the middle in defense. Because he is a very good defender. Gilbert, he's got a heavy hit on him. So
he's a very good player.
Yeah.
I hope he gets the season he deserves after a few really rough ones, because he's a very, very talented player. Still very young too.
Yeah. Cody Nikorima at 6. Yuck. Makes me feel sick. Don't like that guy as a player. And as you said, their back line is not what they was touted all year, so bit of bait there. Going through who's on the interchange outside of the 17. Big Lemmy in the 20 Guernsey, coming back from injury. Could just be trying to get some minute into his legs, I guess, at that point. But surely Junior Tupou's not going to be on the bench, right?
I'd be surprised if they run a back on the bench instead of I think Lemmy will be there. Either Lemmy or Kulikefu will be on the bench. I would suspect, because JMK can play 80 minutes unless it's Donahue might move back as well. But I don't think that they will run a winger on the bench personally.
Yeah. So, but Bromwich, Nicholstone, I can see them being there. Just about who gets that fourth spot on the bench.
Yeah, and it's promising for the starters, right? Because none of these guys are going to be playing big minutes. I don't think Felice Kafusi is going to play big minutes either.
Yep.
Daniel Saifidi might. He has a bit of a motor on him, but whoever plays lock will probably be playing the lion's share of the minutes in the forward pack.
Yeah. Great. Now we'll move over to the Tits. Bated breath to where Jaden Campbell comes on and plays this game for me. If he replaces Kieran Foran, then the dream's still alive. If he comes on and replaces AJ Brimson, wow, what a kick in the dick. I think you were talking a little bit before, Ridley, about how you're just completely off any of the Titans right now.
I'm just very concerned at the moment. I currently have AJ Brimson in my team, and he's that close to being yeeted out because we were all going off the news articles coming out in preseason that AJ's going to be 6 and JC's going to be 7. But as of yet, we've seen nothing indicating that in a team list. JC played 6 in the Indigenous game. Foran's stuck on that 7 jersey in both trials. It's really going to come down to what JC does off the bench. And even then, I'm not going to be convinced because it could just be Des Hasler experimenting. The last thing you want is to buy AJ, expecting to play 6, then come round 2, because Titans have the first fucking bye, AJ's playing goddamn center. You'll be absolutely livid.
Oh, it's super annoying. I'm not convinced that this is how they'll run out either, by the way.
I think JC will change at the last minute. I think they'll move him into 7.
Des has the, and he does this during the season as well, which is really annoying. He just sort of copies and pastes the team from the week before and then makes a bunch of late changes right before the game. So I think stay tuned for the late mail on this one.
As a fantasy player, he is like a bane of your existence, especially if you got no reception. You've decided you want to do something with your life and you don't want to just stand there and watch for fucking late mail. I hate Des. He ruins me. I do want to have a quick chat about Chris Randall. Where's the person replacing him coming from? Or is he going to be getting big minutes?
You're talking about Tino?
Yeah. I say you mean Tino,
their best player. I suspect he would play a lot of luck. Yeah.
Well, so just with me, just chill a second, motherfuckers. Jermaine Jolliffe. I don't think Tino's going to play lock. I think he's going to play prop. That's just where I think he's going to be. So
who started at lock for the Titans last season? Because it wasn't Tino. That's a fair comment.
Yeah. So I think it was Jolliffe and Randall. Or no, was it Aaron Clark?
It was Isaac Liu, and he played 20 minutes.
Yeah. Right. So look, I think
Tino came on, didn't he?
Who was that?
I think Tino came on to lock after Isaac Liu started there, didn't he?
He must have shifted there because he started at prop. Jamin Jolliffe played lock in round 2.
Yeah.
I think they even had Keenan Palacia play a bit of lock.
Yeah.
What happened to that guy? Is he still at the club?
Well, he's not injured and he's not named anywhere, so I don't actually know.
No, he's at Leeds now. So
yeah, he went over.
Rogue.
Went for retirement.
I think this is a good sign for anyone named at lock at the Titans.
Yeah, don't touch him. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see Tino playing lock this year. I see him playing prop, and I don't see the big minutes, and it's just scary. So, I'm not.
He'll
go.
he'll drop price at some point in the season and probably be a buy, maybe on the run home or something. Like I don't think he'll start playing more than 50 minutes a game, maybe even less.
Are we talking
But
about Tino or Randall?
Tino.
Yeah, he'll start.
Randall, I just think there's too much fuckery in a Des Hasler side to warrant starting with any of the forwards, like any of them really.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Firma. Firma played 80 minutes most weeks.
Yeah, just that last year when Chris Randall played at lock, he averaged 70 minutes and he scored 50. So I don't know, like that was without Tino, right? But Tino's going to come in and play play prop, like I think he will, and I am going to be watching Randall round 2, round 3, seeing what he does. That's just my little take out there. Thanks for laughing at me, really. You can't.
I actually think it's an interesting take. I'm now going to be curious to see in this trials game where Tino comes on.
Yeah, like it's just my thing.
I don't necessarily disagree with it. Like, it's Des Hasler, right? He likes having just a bunch of big blokes playing prop and sort of workhorse at lock. So, I mean, there's every chance it happens. It's not ridiculous.
And it was from round 16 through to 25. He played 9 games there. So it's not a small sample size. He averaged 70 minutes and he averaged 51. So watch this space with Chris Randall. He may be a smoky. He's priced at 43. Hook, mid, dual. Just if something happens to Watson, shadow round, gets injured, just saying. There's options out there. Moving on to the second last game, the first Sunday game. The Roosters and the Knights at Industry Group Stadium in Gosford. Pretty full strength Roosters, very full strength Knights. And we'll start with the Knights because good news for your boy Dylan Lucas. Tyson round to 13.
I suspected this was going to happen. I think Dylan Lucas had a really, really strong season last year. And he topped it off with a really good performance in the PM's 13 as well. Like I strongly suspect he'll have a massive breakout season this year. I don't know if he'll play Origin, but I think he'll be in the conversation. I think he's set for a massive, massive year. Great draw to start the season as well. And available at centre. What's to hate?
The price. You're paying premium price for a centre. I don't like it
Also
really.
the team.
Yeah. Oh, we won't go there just yet. Just we got our ladders later on. Really, we'll break his heart then. So, anything else there really? I know you're not super high on Dylan. You don't like his price.
I think it's going to be a really good game to watch two really shit teams play each other.
Jeez, I don't think the Roosters are that bad.
Oh, mate, they're in for a rough year.
Admittedly, I don't think we're very good, but I don't know if the Roosters are that bad.
Have you seen their halves?
Yeah, they get off to a bad
Sandon's
start.
got a bit about him. Sandon's not too bad, and Chad can play halfback.
Can he?
It's not the biggest.
What endorsing praise that
is. Not the biggest endorsement, but he can play the position.
Last week, or the week before, you said that old Cliff Dog was trash, and he replaced Chad Townsend last year at the Cowboys. So
yeah, but I mean, we both are Jake Clifford enjoyers, right? He tends to have like a 5-week period every season where he looks like he's a very competent player, and then disappears off the face of the earth. So
the Roosters, that looks pretty much full strength team they're going with. Interesting to see Siua Wong at the 13. Whyte's on the bench, which pretty much spells disaster for anyone that was thinking they could sneak a cheeky Whyte starting the game. Anything else really there you want to see? I know you don't really like Mark there, Ridley. Yeah.
I think I'm now very concerned after the last trial. I know it's only a trial about Mark's job security. I've been saying for a fair while that I think Billy Smith has one of these spots locked down. And given the Mark's performance last week and Toya's really exceptional 40-minute performance, Marky Mark looks like he might be in strife to lose that spot when Billy Smith returns in, I think, round 4 or so. And given Roosters have a pretty rough start to the year in Broncos and Penrith, if Mark's going to put up that kind of defensive performance in the first 2 weeks, he's one, not going to score too well, and two, be yeeted from the team instantly when Billy Smith is returned. I actually think Marky Mark is now a trap.
Hang on? So why is Billy Smith out? Because he's not in the injury. He's not in their injured list.
He's
I'm
hurt
understanding
his
he is
hip.
injured.
Yeah, he is injured.
Is he?
He's
Okay.
back round
He
4
got
is
a
my
hip
understanding.
problem.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Billy Smith seems to be perpetually injured.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't think it's that much of a concern. Like, if Billy Smith comes into this team, and he might, like, I'm not discounting the ability. I don't know if it will be for Marky Mark. I think he showed a lot of attacking prowess in that trial, even though he didn't have the best defensive position. And like, I know from a statistical point of view, the missed tackles look bad, but they weren't really meaningful missed tackles. They didn't lead to try scoring opportunities for Saints. Like, they didn't score any tries down his edge of the field. They didn't, like, I think it's a bit of an overreaction, and I think people are sort of, yeah, I guess overreacting to a 30 minutes in a trial game that he spent at centre against a full strength Dragons team.
I agree and appreciate that, and I think that would be a fair stance if Toya hadn't played that well. Toya had a phenomenal 40 minutes. I think missing no tackles, making a numerous tackle breaks.
So
Given that I've always thought that Toya and Marky Mark were fighting for the other jersey spots and to sit next to Billy Smith, I think this raises a lot of concern for Marky Mark owners.
So I'm gonna say I'll be definitely watching this game 3:15 p.m. on Sunday because I would love to see how Mark deals with Bradman Best. Bradman Best in Origin last year destroyed quality centres.
They're on opposite sides, aren't they? Mark's playing
Oh,
left. Is Mark playing left or right? He's left, right?
Maybe. Well, Dane Gagai's just as good.
Yeah, Gagai's a handful.
So he's not. Yeah, he's going to be dealing with international quality edges, centers. So yeah, I thought that he lined up against Bradman, but even if it's Gagai, it's the same thing, right? So
definitely one to watch.
In that case, then it's Duey. We really want to watch how he handles Bradman if you line up against him because that's a beast. You've got to try and handle. And that will really tell us something. So this is actually a relevant game. We really need to watch. I think coming into week 1, two teams that have got everything to play for. Both need to hit the ground running to get some early wins on the board. Because I'll tell you what, AOB, if he starts slow, he'll be at Centrelink pretty quick, I reckon.
I will say, to back that point up, if there's one strength Newcastle have, it's the left edge. Dylan Lucas, Bradman Best, Callum Ponga, and probably Greg the Leg. Like that's a pretty strong attacking edge, at least. And look, for the Roosters, I am interested to see what happens with Wong and White, because I suspect that Wong won't play massive minutes at lock. Again, it's a trial game, so we might not see what the full rotation looks like. But I think he might just be there to sort of absorb the opening contest.
And then White come on at lock.
Yeah, because he played really big minutes in the trial last week. He almost played, I think, the first 50-odd straight. That says to me that they want him playing minutes. Like, think back to round 1 last year, and Terrell May started off the bench for the Roosters. But he played close to 60 minutes in that first game. So wouldn't be writing off White just yet, but certainly more to be concerned about seeing him on the bench.
Yeah, if you see White named in the starting lineup round 1, is you gonna be seriously considering him to come into your team, given he's got the DPP?
Oh, for sure. That edge is so valuable at the start of the season, I think.
Yeah, I like him. 4.15, he's cheap. He's definitely a real option if we get him named where we want him. Dylan Lucas, just one final thing on him is if you want to spend huge in the center, he's literally the only one that I would recommend you even look at. I'm going absolute 250 POV as cheap as I can in the centers because I don't like that position, but that's my thing with Dylan Lucas. Anything else?
I guess
good.
Both Firma's basically the same thing, I guess, at the Titans. So, you could spend up on someone like him as well. Doesn't play round 1 though.
Yeah, doesn't play round one. And then does he play 80? I think he does. He's always played big minutes though, hasn't he? Like he's a good player.
But he has
Yeah,
a
I think
much lower floor.
He does.
Both Fernal.
He's very attacking, stat
Yep.
reliant.
Yeah. Moving on to the final game, and this game is going to be an absolute bloodbath. Cowboys are going to bounce back from their 50-point smashing, and Melbourne Storm will be going into round one with a 60-point loss to a Drinkwater hat-trick. There you go.
That sounds likely. That sounds about as likely as Alex Seyfarth being a fantasy gun.
Going through these teams, I'm gonna have to really tell people to watch the Jackson Purdue play. At Labert is injured, but started back training this week. You could be having a real trap there. He's basement price. I don't think he's gonna score huge points. He would make you 10 points of value if he had that spot over a period of time. He'd be a slow burn person. But if we're going to get Labert back round 2, round 3, you're going to be stuck with a basement player that's going to be hard to shift if you start with him. What do you reckon, Rodley?
Yeah, I think Purdue's kind of fucking dead. I think Duffy's probably in a similar category given the news from Clifford.
Yeah,
I'd be getting a little bit concerned about him, but I think Duffy, at least, he's more likely to score well in limited games than Purdue is in centre.
Yeah, I think Duffy, you can make some decent coin even if it is just a 3 or 4 week thing. They might be a little bit more hesitant to replace the 7 that starts the year than they are a centre in Jackson, especially with Labert being so highly rated at the Cowboys. His goal kicking is a really good option for us too. So there is that. And then come on.
What does the Cowboys starting draw look like? Because I think both of them are in a very similar boat where if they come out and they play really, really well, there's no reason why they're going to lose their spot. Because as much as Labert and Clifford are probably first grade standard players, they're not exactly bolted on starters. Like they're not definitely in the starting round 1 team if they're both fit.
I mean, it was Labert's spot last year, and he got injured. So
yeah, but if Purdue starts the season playing really well, who's to say he doesn't start the year in Cup?
Yeah.
Okay, to help with that, Cows have a horror first 5 games. They versed Manly, Cronulla, Broncos, Canberra, and Penrith.
That's 5 wins out of 5.
5 of those teams.
5 wins out of 5, mate. Easy clap.
I don't think Purdue makes it through the first few weeks, let alone the season.
That's a fair comment.
We'll be tugging for the 2 buys we've got in round 6 and 7. One with the Rabbitohs and then the actual buy. So it's so scary this year. The Cowboys could be absolutely amazing, or we could be shit. It's
I'm definitely leaning towards.
I think Peyton's. I'm trying to race it out with Adam O'Brien for who loses their job first.
Nah, mate. He's royalty up there. He's not going nowhere. The Storm. Nothing.
So before we do, Bateman.
Yep. Oh, just buy him.
Just buy him.
Yeah, just buy him. Yeah.
Nah. He's going to be a bench edge. I almost guarantee it.
No.
Like either Lawton or O'Donnell will be on the bench in round 1, and they will spend.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
I think
that won't matter.
Lawton will be on the edge and will be on the bench to support the edge. But I think Bateman will play minutes in the middle.
Yeah,
I think he's going to play close to 70 each week.
Yeah, Bateman will just come in and play in the
70.
In the
yeah, could see 70, but he needs 80.
I don't think he does he?
I'd be surprised because I mean there's a couple of guys that could play decent minutes. Like Cotter's going to play his 60 to 65. McIntyre gets decent minutes. Talau might come back, play 40 odd. Neem plays 40 to 50.
So Neem 40, but that's just sharing a role with Jordan McLean, right? So the thing you got to remember here is that Ruben Cotter plays prop, named at 13. So
who plays lock then?
So Sam McIntyre, Sam McIntyre will actually play the lock role. So even
fair enough.
So that's the Lolo thing, right? Lolo's named the thing, and he comes on and he plays, and they just share that we don't actually have the ball playing lock like most other teams. We just got 3 props basically. So when Bateman comes off the edge, he'll do exactly what Gilbert did a couple of years back, and what Leilua did when he was here. And he'd start on the edge, and then he's going to move in and cover 20, 30 minutes in the middle. Bateman's got the motor to play 80 and play 40 odd minutes of that in the middle, easy. So
I don't think he'll play 40 minutes in the middle. Like, if what you're saying is true, I think he'll play maybe 15 to 20. And then, but there's just so many guys. Like, Robson's an 80-minute hooker.
Jay-Z, out of
Yes.
curiosity, do you actually like any edges in this game?
No, that's why I'm struggling so much with the edge position. They all suck.
That's why he's playing the only guy that's a lock-in for
Except
centre.
for Dylan Lucas.
Yeah. The only guy you play at centre, he's got an edge. Anyway.
We've got a million bloody centres, mate. Dylan Lucas can play edge until I upgrade my actual edges, Plus we got a million mid-range edges now.
Yeah. Look,
how did you beat me at the game last year? That makes me want to hurt myself.
Mate, I beat almost everybody at the game last year.
I know, we should all be ashamed of who we are.
Right. Cowboy shit, don't touch anyone. That's Jay-Z's opinion. Me, lock in Bateman, ride him to the moon. Be careful on Jackson Purdo. Tom Duffy's a go if he's named there. I can't see why he won't be. He's going to make you some quick cash kicking the ball, because that's all he's going to be in the team to do, realistically.
I'm still all over Duffy.
Yeah.
I didn't say don't buy a Duffy.
Yeah, get Duffy.
Don't put words in my mouth.
If he had an edge position, though, on his
right.
If he was a starting back rower, mate, it's a different story.
Duffy named at 11, it's all over. The Storm, is there even anything to talk about realistically with the Storm? Maybe some love for Jackie Howarth?
I'm growing on him. I'm growing on Howarth. Given that some of the cheapy centers are dead, and some people have common sense and don't want to spend 700k on a Dylan Lucas, I think Howarth has some inherent value and could be a solid buy.
You're right. Some people are wrong about Dylan Lucas. That's correct. But Howarth is appealing. I don't actually see an issue apart from the buy in round 2. And if you are like me and you have Munster and you have Harry Grant, you can't really fit any more Storm players in your side.
I don't have Grant, so I am tempted to go with Howarth. It's just awkward price for me to fit into my team. I'm going to have to drop one of my either mid-range edges or mid-range, middles down. Or get rid of one of my 55 halves I have in my team currently, because they're full of them. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it for team lists. Really important to watch some Sunday games this week, guys, because they're pretty relevant. One last thing before we end podcast today is we sort of threw together our ladders, and we're just going to have a quick chat about our 1 to 17s. Apart from Jay-Z, he sneakily just said they may finish between this range and this range. So we'll start with Ridley's. What do you got, mate? You've got the Storm, Sharks, Broncos, and Panthers top 4. I think that's pretty much everybody. Did you have anyone different than that, mate?
That's exactly what I've got. I've got Storm.
No, I was saying that's yours, JC. Did you have anyone different to that, mate?
I think, I did have South before they lost. The entire ship went down with the Titanic. And I think Parramatta will be a top 4 contender. I'm not saying lock them in. I think they've got a really good roster, elite outside backs, the second best halves pairing in the competition, and a promising young fullback and a very serviceable forward pack.
Yeah, I don't.
You had South in top 4 a second ago.
Pardon?
You say you had South before the injuries in top 4.
I had them as a contender for the top 4, yes. I think under Wayne Bennett, with the cattle they have, they're a very good side at their peak. Everyone's dead, so...
He did actually have that. So, shocked me. I had the same top 4 as you, just a little bit different order. I had Storm, Panthers, Sharks, Broncos. You think the Sharks are going to do a lot better than me? I'm not so sure.
I think it's more. I think the Panthers are going to do worse.
Yeah, that's true. I just think that they're going to be 4 points behind the Storm. Storm are going to probably go undefeated this year.
I do think Melbourne are in a league of their own this year.
Yeah.
Like they have a very strong team. They'd need some real serious injuries for them to not be competitive. Well, not the best team, I reckon.
Can they have South's fucking medical staff?
Mate, what's going on there? So we'll talk about the bottom end of town, because that's the real area we want to talk about. Jay-Z, you've gone the Finns, the Wars, the Raiders, the Dragons, and the Tigers as your sort of contenders for the wooden spoon. And then we'll just have a look at Radley's here. He's gone the Wars, South, Knights, and Finns down.
Yeah, I might add that maybe I was a bit harsh on the Raiders. I think they might be a bit better than competing for the wooden spoon. They have a pretty solid team at full strength.
I've got Raiders locked into the 8th in my opinion. They have the easiest draw. They've got a really solid team that's absolutely slept on.
Just a terrible coach, though, right?
A fantasy coach. I think he's a great NRL coach. He is a fucking horrible fantasy coach. I've got the Raiders on the edge of my 8 as well, mate. I will just caveat that with hashtag Fogarty goes down. They're fucked.
Even with Fogarty down, they've got Ethan Sanders coming through.
Yeah.
I actually reckon that they are a lot.
I don't think he's ready. I don't think Sanders is anywhere near ready for first grade from what I've seen of him.
Couple games, not the whole year, mate. They will struggle. They'll start losing games.
Diamonds are made under pressure, mate.
And he'll shit out Cole.
So Ricky Stewart, any halfback that plays under Ricky Stewart, typically it's a halfback graveyard. That anyone that's played under Ricky Stewart, because he was the legendary halfback himself, no one's good enough. Like, he's famously ruined players' careers for not being as good as him at halfback.
So,
like, think of it. They've gone through like Aiden Caesar, George Williams, all these guys that had a year or two in the sun and then just got punted to oblivion.
In all fairness, you just named a bunch of names of people who weren't that good to begin with.
They weren't bad.
They were probably about as good as what Fogarty was when they were at the Raiders. Like that's where they played their best football. So I agree that he just chews through halves. I guess that's the fact that he was such a good playmaker, right? So he just expectations are right up there, and it's hard to live up to what Dad wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much.
So on the edge of the top 8, Jay-Z, you've gone Chooks, Manly, Cows, Titans, Dogs, and the Knights, as in you're probably 4 to 12, 4 to 15 sort of range. Probably
5 to 14. And I might actually change that and say I think the Cowboys are going to be in the plumber territory.
Yeah, you're about. So what, you swapping the Raiders and the Cowboys around?
Yeah, Uno reverse.
That's fair enough. You're wrong, but your valued opinion. Ridley, you've gone Manly at 5, Dogs, Raiders, Titans, Tigers, Para, the Roosters in 11th. How at 11th with unlimited resources? Who knows? Dragons, the Cows at 13th. You fucking bastard. So, very similar to Jay-Z there. The team Para's a lot lower than what he thinks. He thinks Para's right up there.
Jay-Z, where do you have Titans?
Around the 8, in and around the 8. They have a very, very high ceiling. I think that if they get it right, they might even be a dark horse. But things can go very wrong very easily. That's all I'll say about them. They are really they could finish top 4 or they could win the wooden spoon. Like, there's so much in between.
I'm believing in the Titans this year. I think they're going to make the 8. I'm seeing them playing finals footy. They have such a good forward pack. Their defense, they just needs to improve a little bit, and they just need to get their halves pairing sorted.
I don't think the defense is going to be a problem this year. I think the problem is going to be kicking the ball. I don't know who is going to kick the fucking ball for the Titans this year, unless JC's been doing nothing but learning how to kick 60-yard punts. Oh, we really don't know how that's going to go. That's just...
You don't need to kick the ball if Keanu Keeney's making 5 line breaks a game like Ben Barber did in 2020.
Not making 5
2012.
He's not doing that against the good teams, mate.
Both of those dog sides had shit-house halfbacks, maybe being a bit rough on Trent Hodkinson, but they weren't very good. They had props that shoveled the ball onto Ben Barber, and I think Keeney can play that role.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so, mate.
Don't kick the ball, just run it every fifth tackle.
Exactly.
Fucking
You
hell.
don't need to kick the ball if you're making 90 meters every set.
Right, this podcast's done. They're cooked.
Up the tits.
Up the tit. I got the tits in 12th. I think they're going to do well this year. Probably just miss out on 2 points or something from the top 8. Raiders probably just pip them to the final 8 spot. And for me, I just think Raiders have got a better halves pairing. Roosters I got in 10th. I do think they're going to struggle as well, even though they've got unlimited resources. I just think they lost way too much experience and life from their team to be able to keep up again. A couple of injuries in their outside backs, and they've got nothing left. So yeah, they're playing
I think
too risky.
even if Sam Walker and Brandon Smith were fit, they'd still struggle.
Yeah.
I don't think they're that great. Like, obviously Sam Walker is a fantastic attacking player, but he's a bit rushed in what he does. I actually think Sandon has a huge upside to him, and if the Roosters are going to do well, it's because he's having a great crack at it. But they've just lost too much experience. Joey Manu's such a massive blow.
Yeah.
He might be there come round 16 anyway, but like he was so good. He probably should have been playing fullback for them. Like Tedesco, don't get me wrong, brilliant player, but I think Manu should have emphasised keeping him.
At least it played him at 6, right? Because they struggled for halves all year, and when he played in that, he absolutely killed it. So
Yeah, but Manu doesn't fucking pass. He
Yeah,
can't
he's not
be
a
a
six.
fucking half if he
Doesn't-
doesn't fucking pass the
doesn't
ball.
matter, mate. There's been 6s out there that never passed the ball before. And they've
Might
done
as well
really
have put him at prop and let him fucking run the ball every time he got
I
it.
mean, look at Ponga, mate. He absolutely killed it. Playing at 6. Oh, wait. He didn't. I will say
he got killed
that
multiple times.
I will say, both you and me got Manly at 5th.
Yeah, I'm high on
Really,
them. I hate it, but I'm high on them.
but
I don't think they have the forwards. I really don't think they're going to be that good, and they have a paper thin roster. If any of their important players go down, they're completely fucked.
Yeah. I mean, they got
I agree with that.
I don't think Turbo's as important to the team as what he used to be. I think they can still win games without Turbo now. But if we see the neck go down, well, they're in super big trouble. So I think they can cover hooker now. They've got some decent replacements there. They brought in Jazz. They've got the other young fella on the bench, whatever his name is, Cumtong or whatever his name is.
Jake Simpkin.
Oh, Simpkin as well. So they've actually got some decent depth there at hooker.
They've just got such a good back line.
Yeah.
It's got so much pace in it.
Yeah. Cool is extremely
It's very
fast.
pacey, but they're not very good defensively. Like, I do like Manly. They play a really attractive style of footy, but they're just so hit and miss. They're a bit like the Cowboys, where like their ceiling's really good when they're on, and when they're bad, man, they suck.
No, 100%.
But in a good way.
I'll leave that one.
Yeah.
But can we all agree that we've got Knights about second last to third last?
I've got
I
them.
think we'll be.
Go, mate.
Sorry, you go.
No, you do it, man. I want to hear the expert's opinion.
I think we'll be fringe of the 8. I think our team's not bad enough that we'll be in the bottom 4. Obviously, having like a Kalen Ponga, I'm cautiously optimistic about Fletcher Sharp playing 6 as well.
I'm
Really
actually a little bit
talented
excited
player.
about him. He's a great
Dylan
player.
Lucas, Sky Pierce Paul, I think these are guys with massive upsides. Tyson Frizell, just absolute machine of a player. Like, we're not going to be that bad. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near competing for the premiership, but I think we'll be good enough to beat certain teams. And it
So-
depends
Is
on
he
the
being
day.
the Dragons?
Yeah, we'll beat the Dragons.
So my thing is, the meme where they ride the push bike and puts the stick in the front wheels? That's the Knights to me with Adam O'Brien. He's cruising along. Adam O'Brien will find a way to fuck himself, and you'll end up in the bottom 4 or 5 teams. It's just how it's going to be.
He's made the finals 4 out of 5 years. That's just not accurate.
Mate. He is terrible, mate.
It's not even close to being accurate.
The only reason he did is because Ponga dragged your team to the finals each time.
We won 3 in a row last year without Kalen Ponga, thank you very much. We
Wow.
were going shithouse before he got injured.
Wow. Sold. I'm in. I'm an AOB believer now. Fuck it.
David Armstrong, mate, come back.
I'll take AOB for the fucking
Oh,
Dally M
mate.
fucking coach of the year, mates. Here we
AOB
go.
for the fucking Super League. That's what that is.
Super coach, you mean?
Yeah, fuck me. All right. Any parting last words of wisdom, JG?
I just want to re-emphasize that Alex Seyfarth is a bum.
Nice. Really?
Alex Seyfarth is the best buy you can make this year, and Titans are going to be in the 8.
Yep, big calls. Mine is eat well, sleep well. It's fucking great to have rugby league back, and see you next week.